What's up, Mortgage Coach community? It is Friday, the last Friday of August 2019. We were just a couple days from September, and I cannot believe how fast this year is going. But I also can't believe how awesome this year is. I mean, if you're in the mortgage business, it's a really exciting time to be a mortgage professional. We've got an amazing purchase market, a solid purchase market, but we have an amazing refi wave happening. So we've done a number of calls where we've talked about refi scripts, we've talked about refi strategies, but Todd and I both think there's more to be discussed there. So that will be a topic for today. As always, I'm pumped when I have my brother from another mother, Todd Bookspan, on the call. What's up, dude?
Oh, it's always so much fun to be here with you on a Friday, Dave. Makes my day, and I think this topic is so relevant, right? I mean, we know it that so many purchase markets are hot, and it goes back, 5-6 weeks when we had Dan Keller on here, and he was sitting in his Yankees cap in his car talking about how he's staying purchase focused, and then Jeremy called him out saying, "Hey, if you're not spending time with your past clients, then you don't have a client for life business." And then, it's been so interesting to see it develop as loan officers are struggling between these two. So I loved your conversation with Cindy Ertman, and I love the fact that you and I are going to recircle today and help our crew here at Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind figure out how to win their day and win their refis, as well as keeping their purchase business on track.
Yeah, and when it comes to the refi strategy, I don't know that this call will be introducing a lot of new ideas, but we're going to try to really fine tune and make those ideas actionable. Todd's going to talk about some principles for win by noon. How do we time manage? I'm definitely going to, you're going to come out of this with the ability to document all of your refi scripts so that you could have a documented script that this is how I call my past customers, whether it's me or a team member. This is how I email my past customers, whether it's me or a team member. And this is how I play social media with refi. So you're going to have that. It's going to be actionable. And I'm almost looking at this as something that's going to be so tight and so good that we're going to transcribe it, and I'm going to write an article around it. We also are going to do a topic around how to get to first-time home buyers before realtors. Again, I did a whole call on that with Jeremy and Denise Donahue. We're going to pull from some of those ideas, but that will be another topic. And then Todd's going to weave it throughout the call, just win by noon, time management, personal productivity, habits, and tactics, so that you guys can do this stuff. Like, they're not just ideas and concepts, they're actionable. And if you don't get all that from this call, we can't help you. We're going to do our best to deliver it. If you do have other topics or questions, post them down below. In fact, just to get things going in Facebook Live, let us know where you're coming to the live out of. Earlier in the week, I was in Sacramento. Today, I'm back in Portland. And I invited Gene Agustin out of Roseville, California, to today's call. Gene, I don't know if you can turn on your camera and unmute yourself, but if you can, welcome, brother.
What's up, guys?
Welcome, man. So, Gene, was it 2 weeks ago that I invited you for the first time to a Mortgage Coach call? When was it that you did your first Mortgage Coach interview?
It may have been like 3 or 4 weeks, because it was really, really hot. So it was like right in the middle of summer. So it may have been like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay, well, first time I had done a public interview with Gene, and it was awesome. I also spent some time, had dinner with Gene and Dan Trinidad and Katie Pastor 2 days ago in Roseville, and I asked him to come to today's call. I also interviewed him in Dan's office. So like right before I was gonna speak to Dan's office and do a sales leadership meeting, Gene and I created some content that we might duplicate it in this, in today's call. So maybe it's like you don't need to listen to it, but I don't know, man. I thought that was it was fun hanging out with you and interviewing you, but I thought it was a pretty tight, valuable conversation. What did you think, man?
Oh, I loved it. And it was funny because I was just praising you about how amazing the app is on the iPhone and the iPad. And I loved how you're like, wait, dude, let's just stop and let's just film a quick video on this. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was cool. So guys, let's get into it. And and I have some color I could paint around this, Todd, but since you watched Cindy's video, and remember, your job is to make it actionable today, how do you think we should start the refi conversation today? I'll let you go first, and then I'll add some color to it.
So let me throw a couple things out there, right? Dave, you just said the goal after this call is to have an actionable written plan. And so the first thing that you all need to be doing is thinking to yourself, do you actually have a plan, number one? Number two, is it written? And number three, are you taking action on it? So I'll throw in a quick commercial. Next Thursday at noon Pacific, I'll be doing another refi webinar where I'll actually walk you all through what my team is currently doing. They just closed their biggest month, just under 60 loans, 16 million in the Arizona market, and only 15% refis. But the refi pipeline is starting to swell up, put over 10 million in refis with the process that I'll walk you all through. And so what I would encourage you to do is, as you're going through this call, go back afterwards, watch Cindy's video that she did with Dave, and then start writing your process, and then bring it next Thursday to the call that I'm doing, and then come out of that with even a more fine-tuned, process. That would be winbynoon.com/calendar to sign up. That would be my thought there. But, I think, Dave, the biggest challenge that most people have right now, you talked about time management, is number one is if you're reacting to everything that's getting thrown at you, right, then how do you actually proactively schedule for doing the refinance piece? And, I just I feel a little bad since I never want to throw anyone under the bus. But, ultimately what I loved about Dan Keller was he said, hey, I'm still a 9-to-5 purchase guy, but hey, guess what? At 5 o'clock, I'm digging in on my refinances. So all he's done is decided when he's going to schedule those, the refinance calls. And what I think is you have to sort of think through it as, what hat am I wearing as you're going through your day, right? Am I wearing my purchase mortgage loan officer hat, or am I wearing my refinance loan officer hat? And you really need to schedule that time so that you actually get it done. And I've been talking a little bit in the Win by Noon community about the fact that I've been training my brother-in-law. He's a little over 3 months in the mortgage business. And so here's a guy that's been in the hospitality industry for, a decade plus, has a heart of gold like most of you have, but he knows nothing about the mortgage business. I'm like, seriously, nothing. And all I did was force him. You like that? I forced him 2 hours a day, 9 to 11 every day. All he has to do is dial refis. And you know what? He's not perfect at it, right? I laughed. Yesterday I walked out and he's at the copy machine and he's scanning in some client's documentation. I'm like, well, that's not a 10 a.m. activity, right? That's an afternoon activity. React, right? Right now, be working those phones. But I'll tell you, he's got 7 loans in the pipeline for this month, which, is probably more than a lot of you. And it's all because he's got a specific commitment around 2 hours a day of dialing. And so I just think you guys have to think through, what is your process? What does that take? And I guess that's where I would throw it off, Dave. What do you guys think?
So first of all, I love that. I spoke at multiple branches in the Roseville, Sacramento market, and in the room of all of the branch meetings, there were some top producers that have been doing this for 20 to 30 years. And there were some new people, ranging from, it's my first month, it's my third month, it's my first year. And I gave them ideas, but I like what you just said, where it's like, you got to dedicate, how many hours are you going to commit to your different activities? And I do think, as a purchase-oriented mortgage professional, that is the core, that is your sustainable snowball mortgage practice, that regardless of interest rates, you can't take your eye off that ball. But I would just propose to each and everyone on this call, like, how many hours a day, and what are those hours a day you're going to dedicate to generating refis and calling past customers. And if you are new to the business, what did you say? It was 2 hours a day? Is that what you were proposing?
2 hours a day is what he's focused on. And, of course, he follows the Win by Noon, schedule during the week, because now he's got purchases going in there too. He's got 4 purchases that are happening. He's working the listing agents. He's doing the playbook, Dave, that we've talked about in this community forever, right? He's not doing anything new, right? He just has a commitment to actually the time to spend to get it done. And it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of, we're so busy being busy that we forget that we have to get the activity done if we want the results that we're after.
Love that. So what I want to do is, Cindy Ertman might pop by. She just texted me, said she's going to try to jump in. And I will pull up Cindy's interview when she comes in her playbook. And then we'll also talk about how we're, getting more scripts like exactly what to say when you call your past customer database. But Gene, let's talk, let's bring you in right now. What are you doing to optimize refis in today's market? And again, Gene's a top producer. I think you closed how many? 14 loans last month? Is that going from memory?
It was 12 actually.
12 loans last month. A little over 5 million. Killing it. And then I think the way you're doing business is special. But what are some of the things you're doing and the activities you're doing to generate refis, whether it's past customer database or Facebook friends and Instagram friends?
I'm actually teeing up the refi business during the buyer consultation. So I'm selling the idea of a quarterly call and the annual review so that the clients know that, hey, you're a client for life when we close on this purchase. So they know to expect a call either from me or Bernie every quarter, and then every year when they do our annual review. And so right now we're using BombBomb. We shoot a happy anniversary video. So they get that. And then in that video, I mentioned, hey, in a couple of days, you're going to get your annual mortgage review cost analysis. When you get that, I'm going to give you a call so we can kind of go over to see, are there strategies to help improve cash flow, or are there strategies to help build more equity and pay off the house quicker? And then to get that email, and then I reach out to them. And then if there's opportunities to refi, we go from there.
Beautiful. And then I noticed one thing that triggered me not only did I see you and we spent time together, but I noticed that you had posted on Facebook some type of a refi story, and it included realtors. So one, I don't know if you could show that on your desktop, but I just thought, like, how smart is that? Posting refi stories on Facebook to engage both past clients and realtors.
Yeah, let me see if I can put that up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, so while he's doing that, just to pre-frame it, he's got a realtor that is giving him access to the database. And there you go. I'll let you explain what you got and pre-frame it yourself.
So this was one of our agents reached out to us and just said, hey, I want to send out a refi flyer to all of my past clients to, kind of she was looking for content to send out to her database. And so I told my partner, rather than just sending out a boring flyer, why don't we do a cost analysis? So she's in the Bay Area. So we kind of had an idea of the price point loans. And so I said, why don't we do a generic cost analysis for her market? And so we filmed it. We sent her a sample. She loved it. And so she shot that out to her client base. And so this was the post that I did. And shortly after I posted this on Facebook, I get 2 emails from agents saying, hey, I want something similar. Let's meet next week and kind of go over how we can do some more content together that we can share with our database.
I love that. And Gene, how often are you taking a mortgage coach story where you saved a family money or you presented a finance strategy in a different way, and then you're creating edutainment, or you're educating and you're entertaining? How often are you doing that on Facebook?
At least once a week. I'd like to do 2 to 3. It just, I think it's just in my head. I don't want to inundate, my audience or my friends on Facebook with mortgage stuff. And so a lot of times I'll do one either rent versus own or why you should refi. A lot of times it's because I met with a client and their story was so relevant to today that I would create, I would share their story on Facebook as well. So at least minimum 1, 2 to 3 if I can.
Hey, and then Gene, you're welcome to stay on this whole call, but I know you had reached out to me the other day, and one of the topics you and I had is just, we know realtors are having a lot of success, and I know realtors that are monetizing Instagram in a big way. And I know a goal of mine is to get the Mortgage Coach Instagram account over 10,000 followers and to really create some engagement and value. But you and I were just brainstorming at dinner, and we talked about it last night. If you could just maybe share your idea on that, and then let's also try to, let's try to get the mortgage community, helping each other and getting smart faster with Instagram. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I love you. Yeah. So, I grew, one of my big hobbies is cigars. And so I grew a pretty successful cigar page, more of a hobby, just as a way to meet other cigar enthusiasts around the country, and not realizing that, wow, this was when Instagram first became what it is today. Not realizing that I could use this as a tool to help supplement my mortgage business. And so Bernie and I just started a Home Mortgage Gurus fan page on Instagram. And I'm starting to implement a lot of the strategies I did to grow my page for the cigar page with our business page. And I thought one of the ways to kind of hack Instagram's algorithms is if we all shared in the MCC community, what is our Instagram page, like it, like each other's page, comment, engage in each other's page as a way to really hack IG's algorithm. So, it'd be a quick way to grow our page.
So real quick, by the way, Gene, not that I want to go down a complete rabbit trail, but I do think your cigar page is pretty cool. What is your account? It's G, and then it's a number.
Oh, it's NorCal Cigars. I actually had to change it because I was getting a lot of clients asking, hey man, are you actually doing mortgages or are you selling cigars? And so I kind of made it just a personal hobby page, but it's NorCal Cigars.
Yeah. So guys, but again, here's the thought, like we have our mortgage coach page, and if you're watching this, I absolutely want you to follow the mortgage coach page. If you're a loan officer and you're using mortgage coach out in the wild, share pictures with us, like every picture on here, it came from a mortgage coach member using mortgage coach out in the real world. That's why we call it, mortgage coach in the real world. So Gene, feel free to make the post that you and I talked about in our group. And if you're watching this and you want to have more influence, create more value with social media, specifically Instagram, start following Gene. And Gene, if you don't mind kind of getting the fire started in the community.
I'm laughing, Dave, because I was typing it as we spoke. So I'll default to you, Gene. Go ahead. I won't hit post on this one.
Todd, go for it, brother.
I was.
It's gonna take multiple
guys talking.
Yeah, go ahead, Todd. But yeah, like I said, here's the deal, guys. I last week or the week before I had Larry B-Tag, and we talked about leveraging social media. You got to do it all. So let's do this. It doesn't look like Cindy has joined us yet. I am going to pull up the post. And Todd, let's just over the next 15 minutes, whether Cindy gets here or not, let's create this, kind of refi playbook conversation. So if you're watching this, here is the backstory. I interviewed Cindy, I think this Monday. I put a link to that right here. So it's in the group. It's in our YouTube channel. It's called Cindy Ertman's Proven Refi Scripts. Absolutely listen to that interview. Connect with Cindy if you don't already connect with Cindy. She was kind enough to give me a link to her, the refi scripts that she put together for her clients. I put them in SlideShare. So, what Cindy and some of her clients put together in terms of, hey, here's how we call a past customer. This is what we email to a past customer. You got Cindy's scripts. Now, here's the thing, and Cindy and I even talked about it. Those are her scripts. You got to make them yours. And so if you're a manager on this call, my ask to you is come up with you and your branches refi scripts. And, you can borrow from what Cindy did. If you're an individual loan officer, have your own script, get it documented. I started a conversation before this call this morning where it was really simple. It's like, hey, let's work together to improve our scripts. And I posted Cindy's actual, now this is her verbal, like ring, ring, ring call script. And then we've already had Dan Keller, Jeremy Forcier, Nick Carpenter jumped in with, some color. Hopefully make sure you listen to this 1 minute script from Jeremy. At the end of the day, we want you guys to document your own scripts, create your own scripts. And then Todd, I think you made a really good point. The script is worthless if you're not using it every day. You don't have a plan around it. You don't have a commitment around it, and you're not winning by noon. So Todd, what do you want to add to that? And how do you want to win by noon that?
Well, and so let me just talk about it for those of you who aren't familiar with sort of the philosophy behind win by noon. I mean, the the bottom line is that study after study after study shows that the average person in sales wakes up in the morning, starts checking social media and email, and then is reacting all day, right? And so because they're reacting all day, they actually never get to what is most important to drive their business forward. And so my challenge to all of you is schedule time to react in the morning, but also schedule time to be proactive. And you have to really live by your calendar. So if I show you guys, sort of my next week, right, it all starts around, what does my ideal week look like, right? Monday's a holiday, so I'll be relaxing. And then I'll be actually dialing myself in the morning, right? So I've got 3 hours set up to dial.
Wait, hold that up. Push it. Like, I want to see it in detail. Okay.
Except for on Friday, when I'll be here on the call, right? So, that's how I set up my week. And so every week I'm saying, okay, what does my calendar look like, right? Last week, right? Here was my calendar, right? Drive my daughter in the morning, go work out, right? I had Tuesday call that we did on HomeBot and this call. And so, I'm always all about being really proactive with my time, because what gets scheduled gets done. And so my encouragement for you guys is to really think through your day. Like, when do you actually get to those most important phone calls? Do you even get to them? And B, is it like late in the day where you didn't do them first thing? And what I find is most people, we just spend, sometimes it's a little less 30 minutes, but I would just say, gosh, up to, 2 hours is pretty good. I'm pretty dialed in at trying to focus on 3 hours right now proactively to move business forward. And I just want to encourage you guys to look in your week and when can you schedule that time? I mean, one of the things, Dave, that you said in your interview with Cindy was, hey, 3 hours, like focus 3 hours this week to be proactive on refinances. And my question for you is are you going to take that advice that Dave gave? And then secondarily, are you going to actually put it in your calendar? Because what will happen is, if not, everything's going to fill in. And then you'll be like, oh, shoot, I didn't have that 3 hours that Dave said I should commit on that. And it's not hard if you schedule it now, but it's really hard if you wait till Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon to try to schedule fitting that time. I mean, don't you see that, Dave? I mean, you've been around this business for longer than me.
Yeah, no doubt. But here's one thing that I think people have is they have excuses why they don't do it. Where do I get the list of people to call? What do I say to the people? And so my ask to everybody, like, we just check it off the list. We are not going to have an excuse as to what to call. So my jam session, I want everybody on this call to commit to, is to document what it is that you're going to say. So you're going to have a good holiday. You're going to kill it over Labor Day, and you're going to come back on Tuesday, and you're going to get after it. And so it shouldn't take more than a half hour to a 40-minute jam session. Schedule it right now. And I'd say schedule it later this afternoon. Like, get it done before the holiday, so you have this script in your head. And you've got Cindy's scripts, you've got Stephanie's talking points, you've got Dan Keller killed it. Like, this is what Dan Keller's doing. Jeremy killed it. I guarantee you there will be more mortgage coach leaders. I mean, these are people that are doing like $100 million in volume. Like, these are people that if you wanted to have a coaching session with, would be over $1,000 an hour. And you've got their leadership and their scripts in this group. So my ask is, let's take that excuse off. Let's get it documented. Even if you've already been making calls, I would say fine tune it, document it. And by the way, play it forward with someone else in your office, so that everybody in the mortgage coach community that subscribes and gives us your attention, you've got it documented. This is how I call past customers. This is how I call realtors. This is what I email. Let's take that off the table. And then remember, I do think you need to differentiate purchase, core business, to refi. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on that, Todd? I mean, do we need them to time block 2 different times, or how would you practically manage that?
I think it depends on the person. I think it makes more sense for most people to actually schedule 2 different times, right? Because if not, we get caught up in, are we following up on our leads, right? Have we followed up on all the people who've applied to get them over to get a pre-qual letter issued? Like, if we're not doing those calls, because we want to be purchase-driven loan officers come, November, December, January, when the refis may have gone away. And so you can't give up that business. And so then you got to figure out, where can I slide in this slice of refinance calls? And, those of you who are individuals are going to have it different than someone who's got a team member, right? Cindy talks about having her team set up the script, which is huge, right? I mean, think about that. I mean, that's a great way to do it. But for me personally, I always said, hey, this is my time where I'm a purchase loan officer. this is my time where I'm a refi loan officer. Just like Dan Keller says, hey, 9 to 5, that's what I'm doing purchases. And then after 5, I'm a refi guy. And I would think just, if you're going to have somebody call, or if you've got call reluctance, think about how you can even simplify it, right? I mean, I think that when you look at these scripts in here, in that thread that Dave showed, those are like gold, right? They're gold scripts. And that is the highest level, I think, of a mortgage consultant, really circling back to your client, explaining to him the why. I'll tell you, with my brother-in-law, who was brand new, he was getting tripped up in that, right? He was calling and he was using the annual mortgage review form, which I've posted over in the files here before. And he was having troubles connecting the dots and getting that person to refi. So we changed up his script, and it was just like, hey, it's me, Brad. Hey, it looks like our team did your loan. So keep in mind that he's talking to people whose mortgage, he's never talked to these people before, right? You've already talked to your clients, so you have a leg up. And he finally said, hey, my name is Brad. Our team closed your loan. It looks like we can save you money. When is a good time for a call? That was it. And then he threw it at a TCA, and then he walked them through the numbers. But, think about how you set yourself up for success, because as I see Cindy pop in here, puts a big smile on my face. The bottom line is that you have an opportunity. You have to own it, right? That's exactly what Cindy said in it. So without further ado, welcome, Cindy.
Hi, how are you? So good to be with you guys. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Cindy, great to have you. Thanks for doing that interview that we released on Monday. It's created a lot of value in the community. I was in Roseville last week. I talked to Dan Trinidad's group. I talked to a group of Finance of America. I talked to a movement group, and I was telling everyone about Cindy Ertman's refi scripts. So, my ask to our community is either, use those or make your own. Like it's okay, and maybe you're not a script person, make talking points. But again, you're a coach and a leader, kind of playing it forward, assuming that they've either listened to that interview we did or that they're gonna listen to it. What is your kind of next level advice for the mortgage coach community when it comes to getting after it and making the most of refis?
Well, no, I get really excited right now. I just met with my own team and my partner, Stephanie Green, mortgage partner, and we were having this conversation about how, there's so many calls coming in for purchase business. We've always been purchase originators without question, but I was sharing with her, my highlight years were about really time blocking around communicating with her past clients, like we were talking about on the call. And I do get really intrigued when people say to me, and they say it all the time, I'm not a refi, LO, I'm just not. And to Todd's point, I mean, it really is about just making the time. Look, in coaching people all over the country, every day, the reality is a lot of them are very busy, but a lot of them not intentional about the way they're leading their business. And what I've seen after, particularly my MME members, after they come out of a year, they're leading their business with great intentionality. Time blocking is something that most loan officers resist like nobody's business. And Todd, with you, I'm sure in all the training you're doing, you can understand and appreciate that. But it's like to watch people go to that next level and get intentional even about how they lead their team. Bringing the team together and redefining the roles and responsibilities, kind of rebuilding foundationally so that you can create that space to work on what matters most, which is income generating activities each and every day and relationship development activities each and every day. And that's how you build and scale a business. So we can't keep doing what we always do. We've got to do something different. So I wrote these scripts just as a starting point to spur ideas. Like you said, make them your own, take the language, cut it up. But I think people do great. And once you deliver a script 3 or 4 times, it becomes fluid. And then it becomes fun because you start to get traction around it. And that's what I'm hearing from my clients. Now they're starting to get the traction. And the thing is, their clients have so wanted to hear from them. They haven't heard from them in months, sometimes years, sometimes ever. So it's really fun to see what starts to happen when people reconnect with their past clients. It's great.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jeremy posted this several weeks ago, and it's so true that if you aren't doing refis, if you're not calling your past customers, you do not have a client for life business, period. By definition, being a client for life mortgage professional is helping someone at the point of sale. And like Gene said, you're positioning that, hey, I'm going to help you make a great decision, and then I'm going to manage that decision over time. But if you're not managing that decision over time, 1, you're not keeping your promise. 2, you don't have a client for life mortgage practice. And with the world and the way the mortgage industry is changing, I just don't think that's a sustainable mortgage practice. I really think this is a core capability that you need to have. You need to figure it out. So Cindy, quick question. We were talking about time blocking. Do you think people should time block, okay, this is my purchase, and then their refi / client for life activities, that's a separate activity? I mean, what's your thought on that?
Well, I just had this conversation yesterday because one of my clients has just hired a new assistant. So he actually has time on his hands now to be able to focus on, as we call them, income generating activities. And, Todd, the whole win by noon, mine's always 5 income generating activities before noon, because, once the afternoon gets there, it's just usually lost and you'll convince yourself you'll do it tomorrow. So I really believe, like what we were mapping out yesterday, and I think it's such a simple plan, and I like to do things that are simple so people actually do them. But we were talking with Tom yesterday about on Mondays calling 10 of the realtors that are your warm realtors, ones that you're getting consistent business from. You've got a relationship. You want to take the relationship deeper. So he's mapped out on Mondays to call 10 really great realtors, really check in to see how the weekend went. Did they hold an open house? Do they have any leads that they need help following up with? And just doing a general touch base with a minimum of 10 realtors. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, he's going to time block to call a minimum of 10 past clients on those 2 days. So he's doing from 10 to 11, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So he'll call 20 past clients a week personally. Once he gets this down, he's going to train his team, but we're going to start with him. And then on Wednesdays, he's calling 10 realtors that are cold. We have a cold realtor campaign. We've got a script for that. So he's calling 10 cold realtors to try to develop. The whole key is to get an appointment. So his goal is to get 3 appointments a week with new realtor partners. And then, so Thursday, he'll call 10 past clients. And then Friday, this was one of my other clients that's doing this, and I love it. Friday, she writes a thank you note of appreciation and gratitude to 10 people. So she writes notes every Friday. And it can be past clients, it can be realtor partners, it can be new clients, it can be anybody that's touching her business. Tom's going to adopt that as well. So that was a very simple plan to get started with.
I love that. And you said something like, right when you first started talking, 5, revenue generating activities by noon. And Todd, I mean, she said a lot that was like, she was talking your win by noon love language. So why don't you kind of play off of that? Let's kind of nail this. Okay, I want to optimize my past customer database with refis, and then let's segue into purchase business. But Todd, why don't you kind of wrap a bow around this topic in a win by noon way?
Well, I laughed because I was absolutely saying Cindy is speaking my love language, because ultimately it's the whole idea of being proactive, right? I mean, Cindy said, exactly what I believe about most people getting in their day. And then, once you stacked up all those emails, once you stacked up all those calls and text messages, and now the social feed, you're just off and reacting the rest of the day. So, I think what it really boils down to is I love what Cindy said, right? I mean, I'm not going to go through what my win by noon week looks like, but it's really similar. It's those same activities, but just mixed up in different times. And so you've got to pick what you're going to be committed to, right? I wrote it down here, right? Again, to me, it's all about what it is, right? I put be intentional, right? I mean, that was the big takeaway. So you need to be intentional around these activities and then write it down and commit it. You heard Cindy didn't say, oh, he's going to call on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She said he's going to call from 10 to 11 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? You heard her say that, hey, I've got this other loan officer and she's writing 10 handwritten notes on Friday mornings. And so you've got to commit yourself to whatever those activities are, right? Dave started off this call saying, what is going to be your refinance plan, right? Cindy's transitioning into, hey, what is your daily plan to be the top loan officer, the best loan officer that you can be? And so in the end, I'll repost in here, Dave, when we're done, sort of my win by noon loan officer week. And then again, just like we're saying, take this script, use it, modify it, own it, take the weeks that Cindy laid out, take the win by noon ideal week, and then modify it to you and then own it. Be really committed to it. That whole word of being intentional, I think that was just awesome. I just super excited.
Love it. So guys, here's my ask to you. First of all, do this, create your own scripts, be inspired by Cindy, be inspired by this, thread that we have going. And then I would love for you guys to play it forward. So if you do document your script, either post it in the group or put it into this comment. For those of you who are joining, late, one of the homework assignments for everyone was to watch this interview I did with Cindy. It was released on Monday. It was pretty quick. It was, just her and I riffing on, guys, you've got to create this playbook. This is what I did for my crew. Every branch manager on this call, every leader on this call, hopefully you'll play this forward and you'll do what Cindy did. I do want to, one more thing before we transition into real estate agents. I spoke to, Movement Mortgage branch in Roseville, Keith Collins, who's, really become a mortgage coach rock star, closed 20 loans last month in Sacramento, killing it with refis and purchases. But, I did my office presentation, and then the question was, Keith, what were your takeaways? And this was like, we didn't rehearse this. There was no planning. And he had a really good realtor takeaway, which I'm not going to spend too much time on, but he loved the idea of like, be a conversion partner to your realtors, and he had a whole conversation around that. Highly recommend you listen to it. But the part on the refi part, his biggest takeaway, and it kind of surprised me, here's a guy that's just, creating countless TCAs every month, was I need to start showing the prepay strategy on all my refis. I need to make sure that I'm showing, here's your current loan, here's your new loan, and you need to prepay the difference. And so I just wanted to remind you guys, I'm interviewing Sean Guerrero on Tuesday of this week. By the way, Cindy, I know you know Sean well. He's a good friend. He hit $10 million, actually $11 million of production for the month.
Woo,
so
go Sean. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's killing it. And I've been, friends with Sean now for years. And I remember when he told me that was his goal a couple of years ago. And, he had a big hill to climb. So one, we're going to celebrate, like, what did you do to hit that goal? And then we're going to talk about this TCA and a few others. But I'll put a link in chat on this one, just in case you guys have questions on it. I'm going to interview him on Tuesday, and I'll answer them. But this is an example of one of his refi analysis. And two things that he did that I want to close this topic with that I think is important is that he's not just going out and selling refis. He is coming from this heart of, I don't know if it makes sense for you to do a refinance or not. And I am doing a lot of refi analysis on why you shouldn't do a refi. And I'm doing a lot of refi analysis why you should do it. So I think it's important to come into this conversation and this client conversation is that, hey, this is a public service announcement. Rates have gone down, and I just want to make sure you're in the right place, whether it makes sense or doesn't make sense. And then when you do show a TCA, in this particular case, he was saving the client money. I absolutely think it's a requirement if you have a client for life mortgage practice business that you're showing people that, hey, if you took that savings and prepaid your mortgage, how much faster would you become debt-free? In this case, he was helping this family become debt-free 6 years faster. That's a big deal. So I just want to make sure we play that out, kind of in this refi conversation. You got to call with a humble heart. Let's see if it makes sense. And then you need to, when it does make sense, let's blow up the impact. And here's the other deal. Not only is that being a true mortgage advisor and having a client for life mortgage practice, it's a really good sales strategy because you're blowing up the value. And you're also not just, here's the interest rate, and here's the payment. It's like, here's the interest rate, here's the payment, here's the savings over time, and let's make it even bigger. So it's good selling, and it's also incredible servant leadership. So, Cindy, anything you want to add to that before we go on to another topic here?
No, I just think it's a really valid point. I mean, when you really think about, like when you started talking about like prepaying your mortgage, taking the differential and putting it against your principal, it's such, I mean, the value in just sharing that information with the client and teaching them how to do it. People don't think about it. They just don't think about it. And when you show them the compounding effect, I mean, you're helping them create massive wealth in their lives. So it's pretty huge. I'm really proud of Sean too, by the way. And I always love it when you put up TCAs from California because the loan amounts are so incredibly high.
Good. But guys, it's all relative and it still makes sense. But hey guys, I just posted this in comments. So if you're watching this on Facebook Live, there's a link down below. If you're listening to the recording, link down below. And know that there'll be a full interview with Sean on Tuesday. Todd and Gene, anything either one of you guys want to add before we jump into getting after purchase business? And we still want to get to first-time home buyers before realtors. Anything else, guys?
Gene, you want to go first?
Yeah. I love that he's showing the accelerated payoff, because again, in a refi market, it's not just about reducing payments, because a lot of times the clients don't realize if we reduce the interest rate and start making the new monthly payment, they don't realize that they're resetting the term back. And so the big fear for them is, well, if I do refi, all the interest I paid over the last few years is just gone. And so showing that accelerated payoff, no, you can actually do the refi, but not reduce your payment. Keep the payment the same and have that extra principal reduction and pay it off. That's powerful. And that's why I always say it, when we use our TCA, it's I'm bringing a cannon to a knife fight when I'm going up against other loan officers.
Love that. Cannon against the knife fight.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick before you go, Todd, Maureen Davison, what's up, Maureen, had asked Eugene in Facebook chat, do you put these posts on stories, on your business or personal page? So if you could just give us a minute on, when you're doing these mortgage coach educational edutainment stories, how and where are you posting them?
I'm posting them on my personal page, and then I'll share it on our business page. I've recently hired my 16-year-old daughter to take the videos that I'm posting and edit them so that we can actually start running ads on our business page. And we're going to start implementing stories more for, the back end, watching me film a video 3 or 4 times, because it is funny, so we're going to use the stories as a way to just show people the behind the scenes, the fan page or my personal page as here's the story. And then we're going to use the fan page as a way to actually run the ads and make the videos even better.
Love that. And just, I've interviewed a lot of loan officers on this topic. Denise Donahue, great example. She's doing stories weekly. So she is doing a story every week on, edu selling rent versus own, buy now. Like, hey, you're a first time buyer, the numbers don't lie. And she's doing that. And she's doing stories weekly, post, whenever it makes sense. And then I'm also seeing Josh Metal. I talked to Josh, and he is being really smart with custom lists in Facebook. And he is creating, he is going to town with this story where he helped a client, he was able to consolidate some debt, take $1,000, prepay the mortgage, and it essentially saved this client $300,000 over the life. So it's a big blow up story. Now he's got it, he's got it on Facebook. He's got it in LinkedIn. He's, spending money to make sure all his past customers and referral partners get it. I will put a link to that down below because he texted me over the weekend, the video that he did. So guys, I don't want to overcomplicate this. It's as simple as a script, make phone calls. So if you don't have a script, you're not making phone calls, don't do any of this next level stuff. But if you've called everybody, you're doing the basics, and you want to continue to optimize what you're doing, Facebook stories, Facebook messages, and Facebook marketing. Gene, did you want to say anything else before we move on?
You emailed that video to me, and I saw that last night, and I sat down with my daughter, and I said, this is what I want you to do for me. And so she's like, well, how much are you going to pay me? So he's already selling me, Dave.
I know. So Cindy, anything you want to say, and then we'll bring it back to Todd and let him drive the purchase conversation.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this last week, but the thing that is it's actually been really fun even for me is to remind, it's so great to time block for an hour and call 10 to 20 realtors and just say, hey, look, I think it's really important that we sit down for 15 minutes. I really want to educate you as to what's going on in the market right now that could really help you in your business. You make that kind of a call to your realtor partner, they will meet with you. Do a TCA, sit down with them and show them what you're doing to help, clients really make a big financial decision, and educate the realtors and give them permission then to call their past client base to begin to educate them and partner with them. It's so powerful because when I met with this realtor last week, and she manages a 250 person real estate office, and she She's like, oh my gosh, Cindy, that is such a great idea. I'll start calling my past clients. Give them a reason to call their past clients. It's a huge value add for them. And we sometimes leave that part out of the equation. And then also just a reminder, after you have that conversation with your past client, if you know who realtor, what realtor referred that person to you in the beginning, make that next quick call the realtor and give them a status update. Let them know you checked in with their client and what the status of that call was, so that the realtor really is in the loop. Very bonding between you and your agent.
Love that. And Cindy, when I interviewed you on Monday, you still had a couple seats left in a coaching program that you're doing, and maybe you filled it. Hopefully so many people reached out to you.
I have 2 left.
Okay,
so
okay. You got 2 left.
Like when I do my free strategy calls, no joke, these are not like me sitting on the call for 45 minutes. I tell people about the program in like 3 minutes at the end. I legitimately go deep with you, and we go to your deepest challenges, and I coach you. And I've offered a lot of advice this week to a lot of people, but I actually love it. I love really learning about people and their business. So, if you want to take it to the next level and you consider yourself a high performance mortgage originator and you really want to go next level, I'd love to have a conversation with you. You can email me at info@cindyrtman.com. And I do the calls personally. So I only offer this once a year, but I really enjoy it. And I'd love to help people take it up a notch. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Everybody on the past group.
And I'm
30%.
Yeah, and again, I want to remind you guys, I'm going to show it on my screen one more time. So this is the interview I did with Cindy. I want to remind you guys, when you're watching these videos, we usually put some value down below. So a reminder on how to reach out to Cindy, how to email her, check out this interview. And Cindy, we'd love to have you stay on the rest of this call, but if you do need to jump, feel free. And thanks for all the value you bring to Mortgage Coach, and really appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys too. Thanks for all you do. We'll see you soon.
Bye, Cindy.
All right.
Bye,
Fun seeing you, Cindy.
So Todd, we got 15 minutes left. I'll let you, you and I came in with this plan, like we had these 3 topics. We spent 45 minutes on one, but, I know we want to make sure we really drill some win by noon, best practices and concepts. And I'll leave it to you to kind of juggle on how we want to handle the next 15 minutes.
Well, I like the idea of talking about the new buyers. I mean, I think the big thing with the win by noon pieces, and I think we've said it, and then Cindy came in and kind of said something that supported, is you have to schedule this. You have to figure out what your commitment is. And Dave said you've got to have your refi plan. And so as you think through, there's so much getting thrown at you in this community, right? Now some of you are going, oh my gosh, I got to do that Josh Metal video thing. Oh, wait a second, now I got to start a cigar page like Gene. I mean, you guys are rolling ideas. Let's keep it simple, right? Let's just start with, hey, what can I do to support my clients? And one last thing I wanted to throw on refis before I forgot the thought is that the reason that Sean and people like Sean are doing a great job with their clients and helping them see what that pay down looks like is because they're asking really good questions. So when you listen to Cindy's interview with Dave, don't miss the part where she says, hey, there's 30 different reasons someone might want to refinance. And if you're not taking the time to ask a lot of questions, you're going to miss that piece. And so I won't bore you with the story now, but I'll make sure I tell it on the call that I'm doing next Thursday on refis and our refi process. But I think that's a really critical piece. And so I would just say on the win by noon piece, if you're struggling with productivity and time, reach out. I've got a lot of webinars coming up on it. But the bottom line is, as Cindy said it, if you don't do 5 income generating activities before noon each day, then you're just going to be reacting the rest of the day. And that's just ultimately what I teach, is how to really determine what are the most important activities to you that are going to get the results that you want, which I think is a closed loan and a little paycheck, and how to determine what that looks like. As far as, I think while we have Gene here, I would love to dig in a little bit more. You were talking about the strategies that, Gene, you're doing with buyers. Now you posted a video and you already got realtors calling you and setting appointments. I'd love us, Dave, to spend the last 15 minutes taking advantage of Gene while he's here and letting him share a little bit more about what he's doing in that front.
Yeah, go for it. So Gene, feel free.
Again, it's just really the heart of an educator, right? So I was telling Dave the other day over dinner, and is a lot of the content I'm putting out there is just really about giving information to our community, whether it's our realtors or our clients, and not necessarily asking for the business. And again, utilizing the mortgage coach or the TCA as a way to go over all the different scenarios that, come our way, whether it's a rate and term refi, trying to improve cash flow, trying to pay off the house quicker, rent versus own. And so just creating stories, like real life stories, showing the cost analysis, and then sharing that on Facebook or social media.
So give an example of something that you've posted recently that someone might, like what the content was and kind of what the reaction that you got to it.
So we did one, a rent versus own. I had a client that I'd posted recently where, they didn't feel like they could afford to buy. And in fact, what they were paying in rent was even more expensive than if they were to purchase. And, we were going to put them in like a half a first down payment assistance program. And they were shocked to see that, hey, I can buy a home with minimal down and my payments would be lower than what I'm currently paying in rent. So it's just really reaching out to and showing people that, hey, you don't know what you don't know. Take the time to meet with a mortgage professional and have them show you, what you can and can't do. And so the response was, I got clients reaching out to me saying, hey, I think it's time again for us to re-explore. Maybe this is our time to buy now.
I think the big thing is, and I love hearing you say that because Dave used that term. I love your term, edu-sell, right? You have to think through. I mean, the reason that Denise is so successful with her videos and Dan Keller and all the people we continue to talk about, Josh, is because they're not making themselves the hero, right? They're showing, hey, here's my client's problem. And you're trying to create something that they may relate to or someone they know may relate to, so that they can in turn then reach back out. And so I think that that's really critical. I find oftentimes that as loan officers, we default to, I'm great, my company's great, we're going to be your hero. And instead you want to switch it to, hey, here's someone who had a challenge. Here's how I guided them through the challenge. And in the end, then the client's the hero because they get what they want, right? I mean, that's exactly. I love hearing that. So rent versus own is super helpful, especially in an area where you guys have, down payment grants. You said you're getting realtors to reach out to you. I mean, what are they asking for help? Or are they just saying, hey, that's great, I want to share it? Or what's that interaction like?
Well, they're asking, hey, how can we prep one of these for, our clients? We have first-time home buyers. I did one recently where a cost of waiting analysis. And I posted that and had realtors asking, hey, I've got clients that are sitting on the fence. Can you create something like this that I can share to my database? And so, again, our clients, our prospects, they don't know what they don't know. And so using the TCA, it really can educate them and to make the right move or right choice.
And so, Dave is talking about time blocking and win by noon, and so is Cindy. Do you have a fixed schedule you've set up for this stuff, or are you just doing it more as the inspiration hits?
So I follow Dan Keller's time blocking. So Mondays, I'm calling all of our realtors. Tuesdays, I'm reaching out to realtors and clients that I have a transaction with. And then Wednesdays, we're reaching out to the top agents that we want to build a relationship with. Thursdays, we are doing past client calls. And then Fridays, I'm doing my annual reviews. And I try to do all of this by noon. So following your win by noon, Todd. And then the rest of the day, I get to, work with my marketing team and do the creative stuff, which is really what I enjoy.
Yeah, I'm kind of hearing a theme here, right? Cindy's talking, hey, here's my schedule. I'm talking, here's my schedule. Dave's pushing me to talk, here's my win by noon schedule. Gene's got a schedule. So my question for the rest of you is, what is your schedule? Like I said, I'll make sure I post up in here once we get done, since I'm not nearly as good at multitasking as Dave is. My win by noon schedule. And I've also got one for realtors. And I think that's really critical to help your realtors grow their business. And so as you guys are going through all of this conversation, make sure, hey, not only how does this help me, right? Dave's talking, hey, pay it forward. Not only how does it help me, how does it help my team members? How does it help my coworkers? And then how does it help my referral partners? Because all of these things are things that we can actually talk through. I really like looking at my face there, Dave, in slow motion as you put it up there. I think
I
you're
wanted folks to see that I have updated the MC Real World Social Marketing Inspirational Whiteboard. So that's just a Google Doc. I started it when Denise was sharing how she's using Mortgage Coach to edutain on Facebook and Instagram. So there'll be links to some of her posts. I just added Josh Vettel. So I just added his actual page. So this is the landing page he's using, his team's created. You know, they did this video. He also gave a link to his actual TCA, and he added a video. Just, again, we're here to give you guys value. So that's been added. Also, if you keep scrolling down, we got some samples from Gene, and Gene will keep adding to this. Shannon O'Hare last year did a really cool Instagram post for realtors. So just wanted to let you know that the video that Josh mentioned, Josh's TCA, that's all been added to the media dashboard, and those things will also be in chat. So if you're watching this in Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind Group, which you need to be part of, if you're not part of it, be part of it. If you're a manager and all your loan officers aren't active in this group, you should probably invite them. There's a little place for you just to add and invite mortgage friends and people that work for you. So guys, let's grow this group. But more importantly than growing the group, because we've got 7,000 people in this group, going on 8, it's let's get more value from this group. And the way we get more value is to give more value. So if you do come up with your own script, play it forward. Share it in the group. If you have a question for me, Todd, or anybody that's active in the group, put it in comments. Todd, last 4 minutes are yours to close out the call and make it as actionable as we can.
All right. So how do we make this actionable? So here we are. It's Friday before a 3-day weekend, right? Some of you are getting ready to go off on your boat and float on a lake. Some of you are getting ready to, go to the beach. Whatever it is that you've got on your plate, you now have between now and 5, depending where you are. That could be a few hours or could be more. So Dave already said do a jam session. So I would get off of this call and I would do a couple of things. Number 1 is I'd review your notes. Number 2 is I would listen to the video that Dave talked about with Cindy Ertman with regards to the refi strategy. And so wherever you are at, I would just encourage you not to be scared of jumping in with clients who you haven't talked to. I think that that's the hardest part for most of us is the call reluctance. Well, what if they already refinanced? Guess what? They may have, and it's okay. The weird part about it is you may call somebody like a client named Lauren that my brother-in-law called, and guess what? My team did her loan 4.5, 5 years ago. He called her about a refinance. She sent over a mortgage statement. It was for the last house she bought without using our team. But guess what? Because he engaged with her and that other mortgage loan officer didn't, guess who's doing a refinance? Our team. And so don't be scared. Your clients need you. And if they refinance, say, oh, I'm so glad you were able to save money. Can I get that information so I can proactively manage this new mortgage going forward? There's no reason that you can't use that script. And so as you get off of here, do Dave's jam session, right? 30 minutes when you get done. Watch Cindy's video. That's going to take you half of it. And then write down what your plan is and then open up whatever your calendar looks like. If you're an electronic person, right, get out your phone and do it on your phone. If you're a day planner person like me, right, then do it on your day planner and write out what your next week is going to look like. Whoops, that's not my next week. Here's my next week, right? Write out what it's going to look like and be committed to starting this process. And what I would tell you is what I'm finding is the people who are struggling the most with time are the ones who need to actually say, hey, this is what I'm going to block my time to do. And I would get pretty granular, right? Hey, you know what? So for me, right, drive my daughter to school from 7:30 to 8:30, right? And then I get in here and I have a team call at 8:45 to 9. And then from 9, I start dialing. But you might need to get even more granular. And you might need to say, gosh, from 9 to 9:30, I'm going to return email, right? You may need to say, hey, from 10 to 11, like Cindy had her client do, hey, I'm going to call 10 past clients on Tuesdays and 10 on Thursdays. You can't butt those all together. You've got to have a little bit of time in between to ensure that you actually can roll over and that you can react to little things that come up, but be committed to that time block. And I think if you just start there, I think, Dave, that's sort of the secret sauce to get it going. Because if you wait till Tuesday morning and you come in, I promise you're going to have emails stacked up, you're going to have phone calls stacked up, and guess what? It's not going to happen next week. And you're going
to forget that you even had this great call. So guys, schedule something today, schedule something next week. Make sure if you are not using the Win by Noon planner, check it out, winbynoon.com. I am a massive fan of it. Many of the most successful people in this community use the Win by Noon planner. If you don't know what it is, go to winbynoon.com, check it out. If you want to continue to nerd out on refi strategies, and I recommend that you do, check out Todd's webinar next week. Gene, let's close this out with you, because I love the idea of using this group to blow up our success and our influence on Instagram. So Gene, just remind everybody what your ask is going to be to the community, and then you're going to put a post in there, but just verbalize what is the ask to the community so that we can, help each other blow up Instagram.
So Todd already posted on the MCC community. If you guys can just comment what your Instagram name is, I'll follow it. And then if we can follow each other and engage, again, we've got over 7,000 in the MCC community. This is a great way to grow your Instagram page. And if we're commenting and liking in each other's posts, this is a great way to hack Instagram and really, be able to pop up in everyone's feed. So yeah, if you guys could do that, that would be awesome.
And remember, guys, we have a goal here at Mortgage Coach to get the Mortgage Coach Instagram over 10,000.
Yeah.
So if you've ever got value from an interview that I've done or from the value of this community, we would appreciate you, at Mortgage Coach, subscribe to us and give us some likes. Let us know that that's important and valuable. And remember, share pictures, and we'll put you on our post. So guys, everybody have an awesome 3 days. Disconnect, have fun, be present with your family. And Todd, I'm super grateful for you, bro, and all that you invest in the Mortgage Coach community, man. And thank you, Gene,
so much fun
for bringing so much value.
Thanks for having me, guys. Love you guys. See you later. Bye.
See y'all next week.
Over out.